against Eric's bare belly and the prosthetic, and fighting my way through all this Pepto-Bismol to turn the baby. And I
did it really well.
I'm nauseous right now.
Welcome, friends and fans, to another edition of GalaxyCon Live, where we are bringing the convention experience directly to you. And today, we're going back to the near future of 1995. Well, from 1989's perspective, with a cast of Alien Nation. So without further ado, let's head on down to Tentonese Town and see who we find. Our first guest is an actress whose credits include Airwolf, Star Trek The Next Generation, and Superman and Lois. Today, she joins us to discuss the role of newcomer, advertising agent, and homemaker Susan Francisco. Please welcome Michele Scarabelli.
Hi, guys.
Hey. Oh,
Hi.
so glad to have you. Good to have you here, Michele. Great to have you. And right off the bat, I just got to get this out of the way. I adored you as Ma Kent in Superman and Lois.
Thank you.
It was a great turn, and that is a classic character, and there's been done by a lot of fine actresses, and you hit the notes, and I don't tear up too often in a superhero show, but your character's departure made me so. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
Sweet.
Oh,
sorry about that. So.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, one of the best episodes ever of Star Trek The Next Generation, when Data had to come to terms with, can I really do this thing that my human friends do? And and again, just a great performance and great work across the board. Thank you for all that.
Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
My favorite shows I've ever, well, Alien Nation, of course, is on top.
Yeah, well, of course, too, and I'm a little bit of an Airwolf fan, too, but we'll get that going some other day. And next, he is an actor and author whose body of work includes Fame, Star Trek Enterprise, and The World's Fastest Indian. Today, he joins us to discuss the role of police detective Sam George Francisco, newcomer. Please welcome Eric Pierpoint.
Oh, hey, how you doing, everybody? Hey,
Eric, how you doing?
I'm great.
How are things in your corner of the world?
I have no idea.
All right, well, that's good.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm buried in the script right now, but I'm coming out.
All right. Well, we've all been there and done that. Real quick, I just got to say, first of all, I am and remain a huge fan of the remake of Invaders from Mars from the 80s that you were involved in. I think it's a great, campy, fun summer matinee film. My friends always come to me with kids about that age, like, here's a stack of films, and I always include that into it. They always come back and say they really love this one. So thank you for that.
That was a quirky show, I will tell you.
It absolutely was. And I just recently rewatched World's Fastest Indian, and again, a great ensemble piece. Yourself and Anthony Hopkins, Walter Goggins. There's a scene there. I'm like, I kind of love every actor in this shot right now. So, and you're absolutely one of them. So thank you so much for that. Great admirer of your work.
Thank you.
And speaking of things great, he is an actor and producer whose credits include Robot Jocks, Mantis, and Star Trek Enterprise as well. Today, he joins us to discuss the role of police detective Matthew Sikes. Please welcome Gary Graham.
Hey, everybody. Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Gary.
I love hearing those credits. I think I'm kind of impressive. Whoa! I want to know me.
Kind of.
All right. Gary, again, for you, I just got to say mad props for Star Trek Enterprise. Really raised the bar on how we saw Vulcans. And yeah, absolutely. Great work across the board. All of you, great work across the board. We are here today to talk about Alien Nation. Welcome to the GalaxyCon virtual stage, giving us this opportunity to have this conversation. Our team is going through the chat room right now, pulling out the questions for us. In the meantime, I would just like to hear, how did Alien Nation begin for each of you? When did you get a call saying, hey, you want to come in and read for a sci-fi procedural?
Who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't remember the original call, but I remember going in and reading. Normally when they say you're going to read for producer and director, that means that the casting person is in front of you and you're reading, and they're sitting in the back observing. This time was completely different. Ken Johnson said, no, I'm going to read with you,
Ooh.
which was that the same for you guys?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Yes,
For
yes.
me, but I'll
Well,
explain.
not for you. You had
Yeah.
the special dispensation.
Yes.
Anyway, so I went, all right, well, this is weird, but I kind of delivered. And then there was, I later found out that there's a scene where Georgia asks me to hum higher. It's a love scene.
Mhm.
And I went up an octave, which apparently impressed no end, because normally people just went up, physically went up the arm, Anyway, so that was
Funny.
one aspect of it. Then I found out he took all the photos of the potential cast members home to Susie, his wife, and she pulled mine out of the bit. She went, "This one's got the eyes that could handle the helmet, I guess."
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was it. Also, by the third reading, I think we were going to the network, and you don't know what to do as an actor. You're kind of going, should I add anything? I know my lines. I've done this a zillion times so far. I'm nervous as hell. I don't know what. So you just kind of try and stay with what what's gotten you there so far, and not trying to embellish too much or screw things up. So at the time, I was kind of into Chinese horoscopes and whatnot, and I had a book called the I Ching. Anybody know the I Ching?
Mm-hmm.
And you take some coins and you throw them. And I went, oh, well, what the heck? I might as well do this as much as relearn the lines again. That wouldn't work. So I threw the coins, and it oddly, normally the I Ching is so out there, you kind of, it's all metaphorical. This time it was much like the actress who will have to rely on her interesting name and the shape of her rear end. To that effect.
No.
I went, what? That is bizarre. And then it went on to, you will achieve, blah, blah. So, okay, well, I've got the interesting name, and I got to trust I guess I'll wear jeans, tight jeans.
And you've got a very, very interesting rear end, might I add.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Well, at the time, certainly. Anyway, so yeah, that was kind of the oddest the prep for going to network.
That's great. I've always heard Kenneth Johnson's kind of a hands-on guy. So
very. Very. He's
he never felt me up. Where Kenny never really got handsy with either one of us, did he?
No.
Was I the only one left out of this?
I wasn't. No, there was no hands on anything. Please, let's not spread rumors. Me too. You guys want to go Me Too? You would have.
No, it's too early in the morning, and not enough margaritas are flowing yet.
So Gary, how'd this start for you?
Phone call. Go in and read for this thing, and I think I read. I think I read the script. Did you guys get a script beforehand? Or just sides? I don't recall. But I went in and read for it. I thought I was right in. I think I was between girlfriends or something. It was that moment of flux in your life where you don't know which end is up. And I thought, oh, reading for the network, great. Let's go in and just wing it. And I went in and met Kenny. Kenny was such a nice guy and always welcoming and very effervescent, and with that crazy Kenny energy. And I read, and thank you very much, and that was it. And I walked home, and then I got a call that I'm coming back for a callback. Me and 5 other guys. So I thought, well, that's nice. That's encouraging. Just read. We read our butts off, and then they dismissed everybody but 2 guys. Myself and a comedian, Colin. What's Colin's name? A New York Irish guy. Really funny guy. Now, oh no, man, this guy's gonna rock it with all the jokes, because there was humor in the scenes. And but I just did my own thing, and I ended up walking away with it, which just blew my mind. And they said, "Do you know how many guys read for this role?" And then I found out that Eric Pierpoint read for the role, or he didn't read for the role. He was offered the role, and he said, "No, I want the more interesting role, the alien."
That's not. I will explain that.
Okay.
In the next chapter, he will explain. But I'm very grateful for you for opening that door for me.
All right, Eric. So what's your side of this story?
Kenny called and asked me to do it.
Okay.
There it is. Short and sweet, Eric.
Yeah,
I'll explain.
It happens.
Moving
I know
on.
it happens.
Okay, moving on. Okay. Now, we had worked together on a short-lived series called Hot Pursuit, 1984. We ran 13 episodes. It was my first series in LA, and I had moved out from New York, and we had such a great time. And we've remained friends over the years, like we all have now. He called me one day, and I'd seen the movie with Mandy Patinkin and James Caan.
Mhm.
And he said, I've got this series that we want to do. I've got a pilot. I want you to do it. So I said, okay, what, Alienation? I said, I love that movie. All right. So I said, absolutely. So I said, let me look at the movie again. I looked at it and I said, okay. And I thought originally it was for the Sikes character. And I thought, fantastic. When he said, no, I want you to play George. So I said, let me look at the movie again. And I thought, no, that's perfect for me. And, so they were on the hunt. He said, will you do it? I said, absolutely. This is great. And then they started the other casting, calls for Gary and Michele and everything. So that's kind of how that happened. And then we all got together and we met at a table reading, and, it was just one of those really fantastic, I just have to say Alienation has just been my most favorite, series and part ever. And cast, crew, writers, all the way down the line,
Tell them about our first day, just kind of trying out the makeup when you guys all got your makeup done and we got in costume and went downtown to Union Station and walked around a little bit and kind of. I don't know how you felt, George. I mean, Eric.
That's okay.
we just sort of slipped into our characters, I think, that day. Just kind of. I thought a lot of the show is to show the disparities between humans and newcomers. So I thought that this partnership, we should if you zig right, I'm going left, and vice versa. And that's sort of how we found our relationship, I think, on that day at Union Station.
Well, if I can speak on that,
Eric
got into makeup, and I guess it was Kenny's idea to send us down to Union Station, train station. So Gary and I are walking. I'm as George, and I'm hearing the comments. Like, some people got it because it's LA. They get the sci-fi. They've seen the movie. But then there was another one that said, "Oh my God, there's a burn victim."
Oh wow!
Because of my spotty head.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's a burn victim, that kind of thing. But Gary, what was interesting about it is he became automatically fairly protective of me, which was key in the series.
Key, and it surprised me as well. I just felt like doing that, and I thought, gee, even with my antagonism toward newcomers at first, you can't. Don't slam on this guy. He's my guy. Maybe he's a jerk, but he's my jerk.
Your character did use the S word a lot.
Yeah, all right. Slag.
Yeah.
But that was the point.
And too, because it worked out later, and when we went to, I guess we had to fly to a couple places, and he and I would walk side by side to get ready to get on a plane. And people recognized Gary, but I was out of makeup. They didn't recognize me. Advantage, he became kind of protective, saying, "No, this is Eric. He played George." Oh, George, So,
you remember New Orleans? Well, we went to that convention at New Orleans, and I was easily recognizable, but you weren't because you were out of your makeup. And we did that a lot. Oh my gosh, the people in New Orleans just loved our show. Crazy.
I can say being a fan at the time, it really was. And you got 2 seasons out of it. And as I understand it, I think the ratings were there, but the advertising revenue was unfortunately not. And Fox did a big purge of everything that didn't have Homer Simpson in it.
Right.
But what was it like, though? At the time, did Kenneth or anyone reach out saying we're fighting for maybe some TV movies or something? Or was it just radio silence? Then you got a call, hey, we're putting the band back together.
I think that's what it was. I don't. There was this lady. Do you remember her viewers?
Well, we had a bunch of them. We had Connie was one of them,
and this other woman, VQT, Viewers for Quality Television,
right? And
launched a campaign at Fox, and people were picketing and bring back Alien Nation or don't cancel it, and they carried on this campaign for 4 years or something, and then they had a change of regime. I think Barry Diller was out, and who was in?
A lot of people were.
Bill Mechanic. I think it was Bill Mechanic.
Yeah. And we did get the call that the band is getting back together with 5 TV movies.
Yeah.
Right.
So great.
So great. Even though I think the whole show suited itself better as a series than a 2 hours of George and Matt have to save the world, where the real crux of the show was the relationships,
and the family life,
right, family life and working into this new society. And
I would concur. I mean, yes, it was. The best environment was the ongoing episodic nature, because we really saw the characters breathe. We saw the evolution. We saw the kids growing up and the dealing with it. And the films, I always got the idea that the films, like, okay, they tried to truncate some of the stuff that they wanted to do, and they had to squeeze it in. Yes, and they had to sneak it in with a big overarching "we got to save the world" arc. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked seen Sikes and go to more. Sex classes. I would have seeing that, but seeing that
teaching them,
seeing that go out and seeing the arc of the kids and everything else. But and that just really comes back to you're right. This really was, in my opinion, a very remarkable and highly undervalued show. And it's great writing, great acting on your part, and just. It was a great metaphor of the time for everything that we got going on then, and some things we got going on now about whether it's culturally or socially or everything else. Mm-hmm. It was a great way of opening up these questions and not necessarily giving answers, but just bringing questions up. It's like, oh yeah, I never thought of that. I never thought of it this perspective or anything else, and it still holds up today.
Yeah,
I'll say
that. I agree, and I thought that was the genius of the show. How to get people discussing racial frictions and things like that without getting rancorous, without getting unpleasant, because you're talking about a TV show and a fictional thing. So quite often, that's the best way to shoehorn your way into more difficult topics. It bespeaks well that we had so many minorities come up to us and say how much they love the show, because like y'all get it, you guys get what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Our fan mail also was amazing. We'd get letters from school teachers who were using it in social studies classes. We had an amazing review by Charles Kuralt, who a lot of the fans might not remember, was on CBS, and he started off full with a half-page article about how, of course, he watched Murphy. That was the time slot on CBS at the time, but he taped Alien Nation and went on to it was an amazing, we could have paid for that kind of publicity. It was just a phenomenal. And I think, we did, we did feel valued, certainly, by our fans very much. Felt that we were doing more than just your average television show, that we really were contributing. And to Gary's point, we were kind of the last of the boat people, or whatever the last immigrants were. So nobody could actually, say we were talking about them or take offense or take credit for that matter. Everybody kind of identified on some level. Even when I was prepping, for my character, identified in a certain level because I'd grown up in an environment where I grew up in Montreal. I wasn't French Canadian. I wasn't Catholic. I was, a little English speaking Italian with an Italian. So, we all have, I think most of us have something that we feel doesn't belong, doesn't quite fit in. And I think that's what we exemplified, as Kingstoners.
I had a wonderful experience I've mentioned in different interviews. I was doing an off-Broadway play in New York. It was 1999, and doing 8 shows a week in the Village. And I guess after Sunday night show, I was going back to an apartment, and I was on the subway. And it was probably 2:00 in the morning after the cast and dinner and everything celebrated. And people started pointing at me, and one said, "You're that guy. You're that guy." And I'm like, okay. 2:00 in the morning, the subway car was actually pretty crowded. But I said, "You mean?" She says, "You're George." I said, "Yes, I am." And then she turned around to some of the other passengers and says, "I told you he was George." So we went way uptown. I passed my stop many times over because they wanted to talk about the show.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Amazing experience. And I finally, got off, did a U-turn and went back down. But it did have and it would still to this day, I think, have, we could be addressing so many different things right now. I kind of wish we were. Oh, I mean, be in wheelchairs or whatever, but whatever.
Absolutely. So whatever. And one final very capricious question for Michele and Eric: how long to get into makeup, and how long to get out?
Well, I had on top of the alien makeup, I had beauty makeup on top of it. So it was not too bad considering everything they did. I was in and out, and I'd show up at 5 a.m. and just go back to sleep in the chair and wake up as an alien. Right? Wake up as Susan. It was kind of fun. There I am. There's my character. I don't have to it's own process. It took about an hour and a half, and that was from going and I had long hair at the time, and so they used, I think it's Gaffquat, is the base of a really thick product that smooshes all your hair down. And then they would put the prosthetic on and then glue it right under your eyebrow. So in the tenderest part of the place they say, don't stretch that, beauticians are like, no, you shouldn't, don't produce. So they were gluing and, all of that. Taking it off was also a fun process. Maybe Eric can address that.
Yeah, I've got my own challenge. My normal call time is 3:45, and that meant that, okay, I would get there and sit in the chair, like Michele says, an hour and a half later, but a lot of cappuccinos and stuff coming their way. And, of course, Gary would come in and shake his head. But I remember the hours were so intense. And it took about 35 minutes to get out of it or something like that. So but they also gave me a hot and steaming towel. Your skin starts to absorb all of that liquid plastic.
Yeah.
So they had to send me out to get facials and this and that. And I lost my eyebrows the first year because of the glue. Every time they would take it off, it would pull out my eyebrows.
Pluck it out, yeah.
But I remember being so sleep deprived. I showed up to work, and the only one there was the guard, and it was dark. And he said, "Eric, what are you doing?" I said, "Screwed up. They must be on location. Where am I supposed to go?" She said, "No, everybody's coming in, but it's 2:00 in the morning." What? Apparently, I had a dream that the alarm clock. I got up. I drove to work. It was 2:00 in the morning, and then the guard let me into the dressing room. Next thing I know, transportation is coming in from my parking. And it was halfway through the show that year. And from then on, a woman picked me up every morning in a pickup truck. I wasn't allowed to drive anymore. I felt like an orphan looking for privileges or because literally it was like, you can do it here and there, but if it's every day, and then you plus, okay, you make it, but you got 5 or 6 scenes to do the next day. So then you're up working on your scenes all the time. So it was amazing. I would trade.
Yeah. That's not the craziest time in makeup. An hour and a half, that's pretty good. So thank you for indulging that. We're good to go to our audience questions. So I say let's go ahead and roll our first one. And this is going to come from Misha. Wants to know, what did you each like the most about playing your Alienation characters?
No makeup.
I like it. Yeah, well, I enjoyed sending George up, kind of flipping the gender roles a bit, which the women on our writing staff really enjoyed playing into that. The slight automatic condescension, honey, you get emotional when you're pregnant, and that kind of stuff.
I was always challenged by Sue. George was always challenged by Sue. But I have to tell you, once you pass them,
I got to say, speaking of challenges, there was an episode that Eric and I were more intimately involved in, the Real Men episode, in which point you're carrying the baby, and we get in a fight with the bad guy, and he's doing things like taking the pull-down bar and strangling you with it, and throwing 50-pound weights at us, and we're dodging and trying to fight this guy. Finally get him under control, and the exercise or the exertion forces you into labor. And I don't know what to do. What do I do? Boil some water?
Yeah.
And you're kind of walking me through this, and you say, "Oh, the baby is turned. We got to turn the baby." Oh God! So I got to reach in there into your pod pouch, and the makeup people had this. I think it was Pepto-Bismol serving for blood and all that, and it was so I remember reaching in there, and it was the most unsettling experience to reach in against Eric's bare belly and the prosthetic, and fighting my way through all this Pepto-Bismol to turn the baby. And I
did it really well.
I'm nauseous right now. It was the most incredibly insane. I felt like we should have had a cigarette afterwards.
I get it.
It was awful parts, uncomfortable, and slimy. It was slimy experience, but it was beautiful. When you get into the actual reality of the scene, it was just a beautiful thing to share with my brother.
I love the invention. I also love the fact I could lose my own ego and just kind of go with the invent.
Can't hear you too well, Eric.
Yeah, Eric, you got some audio things going on.
We're having a hard time hearing you.
Can't hear me?
Well, we can hear you a little bit. It sounds like you got a lot of background noise or something like that, so I'm not quite sure.
I'm hearing the computer try to do something.
You know what might help? If you log out and log back in again, sometimes that corrects these issues.
All right.
We'll take it from here.
I'll see you in a minute.
All right, yeah.
Go for a long walk, Eric. Michele and I got
we got to do that again. It's always me causing the problem.
Okay. All right. So, any naughty stories about him you want to tell?
That Eric. The last guy on set. Michele, I don't know if you maybe did this with Terry Treese. I don't know. But Eric and I got into, when we get the call to set in the morning.
Yeah.
For some reason, I would come. I was dawdle or something. I would kind of trip onto the set, kind of the last one, and Eric's already there, prepared, and all that. And he caught on. He caught on to my madness. He caught on that it was sort of it's like being first on the call sheet. It really was. He would hide around the corner and let me go on set first, and then he'd drift in. So it became this contest to see who could arrive on the set the latest and not get yelled at. Crazy. Little side hijinks.
I didn't recognize the politics of that going on at the time. I'm sure I heard about it. I've just blanked it from my memory.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, Misha, thank you for that opening question. That was a good one. And he's back.
Hey,
Can you hear me at all better?
I can hear you
Yes, better. It is better.
Okay.
It is better. So cool.
I don't know where you left off, but I'd just like to mention that one of the most satisfying things, other than just losing yourself in this, because once you put that makeup, anything goes. I mean, plus if I've had a lot of, this comes from Galaxy Quest. I played Richard III twice, actually, so I don't know if I had 5 or 7 curtain calls, but you got to invent and use all the tools that you learn in classical theater and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to use that. George,
We still can't hear you.
What?
Yeah, it
Sounds like there's a windstorm.
or a vacuum cleaner or something.
I think the computer is trying to do something. Maybe I should. You know what I'll do is I'll go bye and I'll turn the computer off and then turn it back.
Maybe it's
All right.
Okay, yeah, so they worked. Yeah, so Tech Check worked out better.
Spit in the back. Just give it a thump.
Computer's on 3.
turn off the updates.
Sorry.
Turn off
All
the
right.
porn, Eric.
No
turn
problem.
off the porn.
Right.
Shut down the porn.
What? What?
Shut down the porn.
He said, "Get yourself a horn."
Okay. Oh, I know. Oh, clear browsing history. I'll try that.
Why so forlorn?
I just gave my sheep a buzz cut. He's shorn. All right, tell you what, he's gonna fix on that. Misha, great opening question. Let's go ahead and roll another one. And from Donna, do each of you have a favorite scene or episode from the show?
Ooh. Well, I just mentioned my favorite was actually the slime mess of Pepto-Bismol doing I don't know. It was just so weird, and yet it just, if you let your imagination go with this actually being a baby, albeit an alien baby, I'd taking my shirt off to to keep it warm, keep everybody warm and all that. And I expected Alan Rickman to pop out saying, "I see you found a way to take your shirt off." By the way, Michelle, Eric and I saw that movie Galaxy Quest together.
Oh, you're kidding!
We had no clue, and this is after doing a bunch of conventions and things. And we were on the floor.
Oh.
I had to cover my ears so that I could get a breath, because every time I didn't cover my ears, I would hear something hilarious, and I couldn't get my breath. So I had to walk away. It was laughing so hard.
Still my favorite show. I'm on the floor. I introduce it to people, and they go, "Oh yeah, it's kind of funny." I'm going, "You don't understand. It's just really what the conventions." Rickman's character. It's just, and then that's scary for sure.
I as a fan and as an actor and as a convention professional, I could absolutely attest to it. Yeah, the movie hits all the marks so beautifully, but never gets mean-spirited. That's what I love about
never
it.
mean. Never mean. In fact, it's filled with a great affection for the fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really does. Which is what we feel, really, true. I speak for you, I'm sure. But we feel so honored to be in the show and honored that our presence is requested, and honored that people love the show and love what we did in it. So we just love the fans. We call them friends.
Oh, as well. So Michelle, do you have a favorite scene or episode that?
Pick one off a list. This scenes with Eric. This in terms of the dramatic scenes, the one where I am grabbing our daughter, and saying, "That's it, no more," and I'm running up the stairs, and I turn to him and I say, "No, I'm not going to put her through this." I think that's one of the ones I auditioned with. Also, playing around with Lauren, again, my daughter, in the scene where she brings home a pumpkin. And I'm like, what? They do what? What a thing to do to a vegetable, for Halloween, right?
Yeah.
And she's, of course, like all into it. Yeah, you stab it, you rip out its guts. And I'm going, we both had a lot of fun on that one. Yeah.
And we saw her grow up in the series. We saw her grow up.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We did.
Yeah, very much so. I'm very fond of the pilot episode, Gary, when you the speech for the school that's picketing, and it's a little crazy that cop would pull out his firearm and discharge it in the air to make a speech, but that's why it's called television.
Hello, this is before I actually had real firearms training, and I come to find out that everything I did in that scene was just not only against the law, against the LAPD procedure.
Now.
I mean, not only did I, and I asked our tech, our weapons tech on the show, TJ Hagabuk, comes over and goes, yeah, it looked good, everything looked efficient. You go, yeah, but firing a round in the air, and I go, why? And he goes, oh, round's got to come down. I go, oh.
Yeah.
Think about that. You shoot a round 5,000 feet in the air, and it's just.
Yeah. Was that written in the script?
Yeah. I actually did it. I did it exactly like they wrote in the script, and even down to the point. The most egregious error was when I take this loaded gun and I grab Lauren, and I'm making a point, maybe we should just shoot the slag, and grab her, and I cock the Beretta, and I hold it to her head with my finger on the trigger. Oh my gosh, it's
I'm surprised I didn't jump in and slap it out of your hand. I mean, Susan, of course, Susan.
Well, and the thing about that scene too is that you have not identified yourself as a police officer. Everything that crowd thinks you're just a nut with a gun.
Well, he is.
Well, there's that.
But I think I had my badge in view. I think I used to put it in my pocket or something, front pocket. And even with the jacket, it was visible, but still, I did everything you should not do with a weapon.
But it was still a great speech. It made
a great speech.
The show.
And here I was, Eric, back me up on this. I had just ruptured my Achilles tendon, my right Achilles tendon, and I was sports wrapped, and had a little brace there. But I was basically limping all through that, and they very meticulously cut. Every time I faltered too much, they cut away. I was in a lot of pain that day.
I don't know how you went through that. I know that John Epstein was your stuntman.
Yes.
And he
did
would
great work.
Take over. You would like make a move to run, and he would go,
Oh yeah, remember that scene? We're chasing a perp up a stairway, and fortunately there was this little door for some reason. I don't know if props put that in special for our little stunt that we pulled off. But I was supposed to shooting down the stairway. You see the perp run up the stairway, and then I turn around and I as if to go, oh man, you're gonna make me do this, and I take off after him. Only I really just take one step because the door got knocked to the side and was just closing as I duck out of this frame, and John Epstein jumps in, dressed as me, with his head down, and runs up the stairs. Exactly. And you would swear it's me. It was so flawlessly cut together and edited and executed.
Now, speaking of, I got a cute story about stuntmen. So we had a guy that was doubling me a lot, Denny. And later on, there was a show I did called Workaholics. And so my thing was I was a cocaine snorting businessman, and the thing at the end of that particular episode was they basically set me on fire, and I ran into a pool. So Denny shows up and he says, "So Eric, I hear they're setting you on fire." And I said, "Oh, they're setting you on fire."
Hell no.
I won't do it. No. So, Eric, you sound great. Thank goodness for that.
I deleted so much. I must have been running 9 programs at the same time.
It's all good. Donna wants to know if you have a favorite episode or a particular favorite scene that you can recall.
Oh God, there's so many. I mean, so many. One, can I just name a few? Because I can't.
Go ahead. No, yeah, go ahead.
How about the tiny Ron almost squished you scene?
Well, no, Tiny Ron weighed 400 pounds and he fell on me doing it. I jumped on his back and he fell backwards. And
I was so frightened for you.
Everybody thought we'd have to shut down. One of the really fun episodes was the baseball sequence. You remember that?
Oh yeah. That's great.
But we had so many things. It's like, we had the fun thing about it is you had to make stuff up. We had ceremonies that on the spot, on the day, we don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we have to invent it. Like Michele and I had the transferring of the pod.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. How do we do it? Well, we'll just make it up as we go along, and that was the fun of the show, the invention. You had to invent these cultural things on the spot.
And we just kind of
on
did
Zoom.
it naturally,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Please.
Intuitively.
For some reason, I had in my head that maybe Kenneth or somebody was like, okay, now this scene is going to do this ritual, but you guys are just doing it on the fly, huh?
Well, that Diane Froloff probably was responsible for having me have the baby.
Okay.
Let's have the guy do it. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
It was historically fun to me. So that was
awesome. Donna, great question. I think we have time for one more, so let's see if we can go on a really fun one. And this comes from Madison, who wants to know, what has been your favorite country to visit?
I did a series in South Africa right after Alien Nations. I was there on
Where was it?
In Joburg. Well, just outside of Joburg was where we shot.
Okay.
So on off days, though, I was in practically every friggin' scene. So it was not like we had many off days, but we'd go to game parks. We'd go to Botswana for second unit, and I'd tag along. And that was pretty much, I played a woman who inherits a wildlife reserve. So there were animals around all the time. I'd walk from my trailer to the set and pass the baby elephants, who would always say hi because they knew I had something in my pocket. And it was quite amazing. And I look back on it now, you get into a rhythm and you just kind of go, okay, I got work to do. And you kind of forget the amazingness of what you're doing, So yeah.
Did you go to Cape Town? Did you go to Cape Town?
I did. We drove around the Cape. We were in the Cape and then drove through the wine country.
I did a movie in Cape Town, and all sorts of bizarre locations that were just stunning, stuff you just don't see living in LA. Just awesome. And Italy was also one of my favorite places in the world. Rome. Oh my God.
Did you work in Italy?
Yeah, in Robot Jocks. We did Robot Jocks in Rome.
Oh wow.
Oh my gosh, it was just incredible. Every day I go by the 2,000-year-old Colosseum and Via Veneto and the dining and the it was just beautiful. Incredible experience.
Very nice. Eric, what's one of your favorite countries to visit?
I would go back to Italy for the food.
Absolutely.
I don't speak French, and I did go to Paris, which I loved. But if you don't know how to order,
we'll make fun of you.
You're going to end
like you landed from the moon.
You're going to end up with a raw steak.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Moi, je parle français, mais un petit peu. But I went to France, and I was waiting for I'd heard nothing but the rude waiters. They're just horrible to you, And so you got some of that, and I said, why are you being so nice? And Oh, you want me to be rude? Okay, fuck you. All right, I don't care about you. Get on out of here, you American boy. Go away. And then I go, that was it. And I go, I'm very good now. Now I feel like right on. Yeah.
Mon Dieu, monsieur, alienation. Huh?
Oh, I fought in your general direction.
Panelists, this has been an absolute delight. Any final words for our audience before we take our leave?
Hang in there. We'll be back.
That's right. We'll be back. Bigger and better. We'll build back better.
Alienation in assisted living.
Chasing perps on walkers. That's the thing. I'm going to be the captain, so I'm just sitting in my chair telling what you guys should do.
Okay, good.
George, I'll bet George goes into politics and becomes the first newcomer mayor of Los Angeles, if not a higher office.
Hey, listen, it could happen tomorrow or on the 14th here.
That's right.
Yeah, well, yes.
Couldn't do worse.
Absolutely. Oh, Michele, Gary, Eric, this has been an absolute delight. Thank you again for joining us on the GalaxyCon virtual stage. Thank you to our audience for joining us. Thank you for their great questions. Hope to see you all again soon. Until then, bye-bye, everyone. Take care. And remember that smiles are free. Spend them often.